Hi guys, this is my comprehensive tutorial for Ultimate Dialog plugin. So I want to show how to make as complicated dialogues as you want with this plugin. Let's look at what we are gonna build.
You came earlier than I expected.
Many years have passed, but you haven't changed at all, Uncle.
And little is left of the girl I knew.
That's why I'm here, for your help.
I heard the rumors 3 days ago. Should I believe what they said about you?
You know very well I don't have much time, so let's not waste it.
I can see it with half an eye. You have always valued your life more than anything else, more than loyalty.
You can't blame me for this.
Your life has a value, but how much? It's all about the price. How many times have you broken the law these days? How many lives have you overstepped to get to me without a second thought?
Enough empty talk.
Agree. Why did you come?
You already know my question.
And you know my answer. You won't get help from me.
Damn it, Uncle John. I'm not asking you to stand against your stupid Orden. Just tell me where to find it.
A stupid Orden? Did you use the same words when you voluntarily put neck into the noose? Words are no less important than deeds, and sometimes no less dangerous.
I can force you.
No, you cannot. I won't fight you.
Snobby old hypocrite. You condemn me to death and you think I won't take you with me?
I've always known how dangerous you are. Why do you think I opposed when you decided to take an oath?
You think I'm insane. You all think I'm a psychopath.
Okay, we will start with simple static scan. Everything here is built of BSP geometry except these simple small blueprints. They do nothing, they just rotate. We also have two MetaHumans already imported, and I here fixed loads for hair because by default they only support 2 loads, so we need to always use these 2 loads, because otherwise, yes, this is not good. Okay, also our voice samples already imported, and yes, despite this tutorial is for my Ultimate Dialog plugin, I also use here other my plugins. First is of course lip sync plugin. You may use any lip sync technology you have, any you prefer. These 2 plugins are for lip sync. This plugin I used to import live link facial animation from iPhone tables, CSV files, and this is just a few free animation modifiers. It's free, so you can download it on GitHub. Okay, so here are our voice samples.
As many as it took. And you value your stupid principles.
And our lip sync assets. I'm not gonna go deep in this plugin because it's not doesn't matter for this tutorial, but here we have actually two main layers, lip sync and facial animation. Okay, the same for this character.
Agree. Why did you come?
And animation. I already have animation ready to work. We have here, if you looked carefully, our dialogue consists of three different stages. First is simple, non-interactive cutscene, very simple. Our player walks in and her uncle, he said, you're earlier than I expected. Then we have fully procedural dialogue. Everything there is procedural. Animation is procedural, cameras are procedural, and lip sync. Also, at the end, we have a larger interactive level sequence with branch, so we actually have two different endings, and with a button, so we need to click button to continue playing this cutscene. Some of our animations are intended to be intended for procedural animation, procedural dialogue. For example, this we have free looped animation, loop token, not token. Only difference is head moving in token animation, and listening. It's like more free non-token animation with free movement. So we just gonna use token animation when we are speaking, not token when not speaking, and after a few seconds we will switch to listening animation. Okay, and we also have a few many animation with gestures, like head back, head nod, handshake, hands, and so on, side, and so on. And other these animations, they are just for body. And we also have animations for our cutscenes. For example, this one. We will create this notifies later.
I can force you.
So, as you can see here, our facial animation is already in place, including lip sync. But actually, let me show you how I did it. I captured body animation with my Vive Mockup Kit plugin with Vive Trackers, and separately later I captured facial animation using iPhone and Live Link. Then I cleaned body animation, imported here. Unfortunately, I captured animation on old mannequin. Then, so I needed to retarget it to many, and then from many to MetaHuman. This was a mistake because quality of animation decreased. Then I used this animation modifier to fix fingers rotation. Let me show you how it works for left hand, for example. Right, you can see it. Then this modifier from my other plugin, which is not free. This is from free plugins, this is not free. So to clean captured facial animation, so I just applied smoothing, it's not visible here, and moved all keys to the right.
I can force you.
And I did something else, scaling and so on. This animation modifier to break from IR curves to control curves. So you actually in 5.1 and 5.2 you can import animation, live link animation from CSV files to Unreal without any additional plugins. you drag and drop file CSV file here and get a level sequence, and then you can break this level sequence to animation asset. But my plugin also allows to break IR curves to control curves for MetaHuman, which is still very useful feature. And finally, I also here later I removed my captured mouse mouse curves, because Apex, they promised to release a new version of facial capture application soon, and it's gonna be very advanced. But in current state, live link, how it captures lip sync, it's not accurate enough. So I removed all captured mouse and jaw animation, and instead I applied my generated here in these assets, lip sync assets, I applied lip sync from the procedural lip sync. I think it just looks better than captured. So it's how it works. I didn't apply generated procedural facial animation because we want to have it captured, and that's what I got.
I can force you.
And that's how
I can force you.
all animations for cat skins are made here, except one animation, this one, because this is also used in cat skin, but I wanted to show you how to use fully procedural facial animation within cat skin. So here we don't have facial animation captured. And I think that's all. Animation, voice, our level, which is empty for now. This is post-process. And yes, now we are ready to start. Okay, we will create our main procedural dialog and everything related. So let's create folder. And first of all, we need gameplay tags for our animations. We have 11 procedural animations. There are two groups, upper body and head animations, but I'm gonna create everything for upper body. Just because, for example, this head animation, you can see I also move hands here. So I'd like to play it in upper body slot when possible. Plus, I want to add head animations to head slot, because in some situations we want to play simultaneously head and upper body. So we need them in different slots to do that. Otherwise, in one slot we can't play at the same time two animations. So we have all animation text we need. You also, in other situations, may add text for looped token animation. We have only one animation for token, so not gonna use this text. Okay, let's create one more data table. Here we will create text to describe state of our world and characters. They have integer values, so for example, let's add our player state psycho, and we will modify this value from, let's say, 0 to 10 to select one of two endings. Now let's create dialog settings, global settings. We are gonna use sound wave. I'm not gonna show localization. Full body animations we don't have gestures. Upper body group, we only select here parent tag head, and we don't have morph targets and animations for face. Now let's add characters. I already have two icons here, simple icons, and you don't need these icons, of course. Okay, we also need a character class. Let's create it right now. You also may select here separate classes, for example, PP player for player and custom blueprint for your characters. This actually is needed to get access to blueprint and class variables from conditions in dialog. So if we selected here base blueprint, we only have access to common variables. This is NPC and he's male. Okay, we have characters, we have settings. Now we need phrases sets. Here, settings and character. And let's select our voice assets. Here is our voice asset. It may be dialog asset if here in dialog settings we selected dialog wave. And here there are a few settings. First of all, subtitles. Set up subtitles here. These two, they are legacy now. And here is loop animation settings. As I said, if we use a few multiple animations for talking, you could initiate a few text and select tag here. And as for face idle animation, you can create a few presets, not animation presets, and for morph tags or curves. And also initiate here these presets, they are static from start to end of this phrase. And all other animation presets, they are additive. Let's keep it this way for now and create the same for Uncle John. Let's set up now our parent blueprint. We can select here settings, it's common. What else? Speaking delay, let's say 0.5. And yes, that's all. And also lip sync. Again, I'm not gonna explain you what I do in lip sync assets just because it's not about lip sync plugin, the whole tutorial. So every character should implement dialog character interface. It has few required events. Here we should speak our phrase. Here we should stop speaking if player pressed spacebar, for example. And this we actually don't need in our example. Let's this game, okay, open game mode. This is a global object to store our state of our dialogue, state of our world in general. So if you remember this tag, we're gonna keep it in this object, inside of this object. And our dialogue needs this to initialize. And here we are gonna use player controller. Okay, one more important thing. Our audio component. Let's just temporarily add this. Without any lip sync. We will change this later. Okay, now let's create 2 our blueprints for final blueprints. No. No. We don't need this all live link setup. This, yes, this, no, this, no, no, yes, and no. No, 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 no. We are almost ready, just one more change. Instead of body, we are gonna use mesh in load sync. And dialog settings. Now we can select our custom settings. And the same for our NPC. Oh, so now this, in our case, this isn't necessary, but we can do this. Great. Now let's create player controller. As you remember, here we initialize this actor as player access controller. So let's add this interface here. We oh yes. Our interface, it has three quite obvious functions. This one to make interface visible and not visible. This one to clean answer options, and this to add button, for example, or line to the list. We will implement it later. And in our game mode, actually, and yes. And make it shorter, let's say, and a bit higher. And all this input just copy to our new player. Let's try. Okay, next step, let's create animation blueprints. Actually, we can retarget our blueprint we already have from third-person template. Many? Yes, many. I already retargeted all animation assets, so we are gonna disable this option. Okay, let's just try it. That's a problem. Let's copy our locomotion settings from the template. Okay. Actually, I think we should set a max Okay, yes. And for our Uncle John, let's use the same animation blueprint. Now we need to reparent it to dialog animation instance. If you need to use your parent class, then please use as a parent for this class dialog animation instance instead of default animation instance. Okay, now we need to create a map between our animation text and actual animations. Dialog anim set. Again, we have full body animation or upper body animation and head animations. Now we can initialize settings of our animation blueprint. Correct. Okay, no. Так. Animation set. That's it. Body animation indices. Again, we don't need this because we only have one body looped animation, choking animation. These maps, they are our legacy. Now we have instead animation set. And here, blend curve, let's use, it's very simple curve. I already have it here. From 0, 0 to 1, 1. Let's create our slots. Our slots for full body, upper body and head and face should be in different groups to play simultaneously. But we don't have full body slots, so we also don't use face slot, so we can keep it here in the same group. But if you use full body animations, keep it in a separate group. Now we can open our example blueprint. And copy copy this part. Okay. You know, I'm not gonna actually create two inputs. I'm gonna just keep everything inside of this slot, in this layer. Let's check name of slots. Fine. Name of bones here. They are the same, and here is also the same. Okay, and let's use it. We don't need this anymore. We have everything inside. This is everything within our gameplay. It's here. And here is our dialogue animation. And I think now our animation blueprint for body is almost ready. Later we will make it more complex. Here we will add listening animation in addition to not talking animation. But now it's fine. Also, let's create preview blueprint. And also copy everything from this sample preview. Okay. So now we can use this object, place it on level and use it to preview our animation and to create our animation. Actually, no, let's create a group.
And little is left of the girl I knew. And little is left of the girl I knew.
What happens here? Oh, of course, we shouldn't do that.
And little is left of the girl I knew. And little is left of the girl I knew.
Okay, there is one thing I need to change. I want to change. Let's open base blueprint and create function. It's gonna be pure. It's gonna be const. It's gonna return bool. Here, let's override it in our animation preview. And always return true. I'm gonna change it to base character. Because we will need this anyway later. Okay.
And little is left of the girl I knew.
Okay, but now we can use this object, this instance, to preview our animation. Let me show you. Let's open preview table. Let's open phrase set. And let's end shake heavy.
You keep asking questions which answers you already know.
Somewhere here. But wait a second. What about our main blueprint? Yes, we missed it.
You keep asking questions which answers you already know.
Okay, now we can fill our animation table, but before that I want to initialize lip sync because it's just better. The problem is here that let's look at our character blueprint. We get sound asset here to speak, and from our sound asset we don't know where is our lip sync, which lip sync to play. So in my dialogue plugin I provide helper asset to bind sound to any other asset in the project. So it automatically binds, it compares names to bind this any, not necessarily lip sync data, any asset to sound wave or dialogue wave, of course. So you can see it now here. They all are binded automatically. This is our base character blueprint. Find sound wave. It also has find dialogue wave, of course. If we found, then break, actually, then cast to our lip sync and play. And of course here we should stop using this component. We can't see it yet. If we launch it now,
You keep asking questions which answers you already know.
right? Because we didn't set everything in animation blueprint for our face. Default blueprint and copy it and move here. Okay, this should be enough. So let's apply it in to this. To uncle. And to preview, of course. You know, in other situation, if we use facial animation, we would need to change parent class to dialog animation instance, but we don't use here we don't use face animations, so we don't need this. Let's try now.
You keep asking questions which answers you already know.
Oh, great. Let's just
You keep asking questions which answers you already know.
So all preparations are finished. Now we can fill our phrases set assets.
Your life has a value, but how much? It's all about the price. Your life
This is clearly hand animation.
has a value, but how much? It's all about the
And this, I think, head back. Let's try this.
Your life has a value, but how much? It's all about the price.
Okay, let's keep it this way for now. Just change it. Let's try back to, maybe it's lighter.
Your life has a value, but how much? It's all about the price.
No, it's so heavy. Okay.
You keep asking questions which answers you already know. You came earlier than I expected.
This looks like maybe hand left.
You came earlier than I expected.
Okay, just earlier.
You came earlier than I expected.
And we are gonna continue. I will cut it. So we will create the same animations for all our voice assets. Okay, let's continue. So now all notifiers here are ended, are ready to use. The only thing I have to say is here in our animation preview blueprint, in the dialog component, this checkbox, it should be checked. It's important. Only in animation preview. But now we can remove it, we don't need it anymore. Let's now create our dialog tree. Okay. Again, global settings. We already did this asset. We need two enumerations. This one is required, this is optional, but I highly recommend to use it. So, input type. This is generally how are we gonna choose our answers for player. How to choose what answer for player to speak when we have a few options available. First, I usually add autoplay. This always makes sense, especially for cutscenes when we have only one option to speak, and for some other situations. Next, okay. This may be, for example, list item. If you have, traditional interface like in old RPG with a list line 1, line 2, line 3, so you can add list item and provide a number later as integer parameter. I'm gonna add 4 buttons, just like gamepad buttons. Button top, button bottom, right and left. Here you also may add, for example, QTE button top, for example. Just we don't have QTE here. Next is enumeration for our custom events or actions. So what events do we have? First of all, just always makes sense. Set transform. What else? Of course, play label sequence. And it's okay, we will add more actions later. So now we can add our first node. Let's take a look at our script. We start in a cutscene. This will. Okay, let's do it. Sinora, okay. Let's call it. This name will be used to launch our dialog, because we may have a few dialog trees in the same asset, and we can launch any of them. This is just for us here, this is internal message. and custom event, play level sequence, and call it, for example, reference. We should raise this event on our scenario. You also may multicast to all characters. Next node will be, so this will be played within our cast skin. So let's add new node and call it. We also not gonna play voice here and not gonna play voice here. We will use this just like conduit in, state machine. So let's return again to our data table, dialog state, and add one more. Actor state, init cast skin finished. So here we are gonna add a gameplay condition for this tag. Equal to 1 or greater than 0. Doesn't matter. So we are not gonna play this node until this condition is true. 0. It's also empty, so it will go to automatically to next nodes. I don't like actually this. Let's Uncle John and change color to, for example, many years have passed. This text, we used it as a hint for us, but actually this short text is for our input object. So plugin, it will get subtitles from here and get what we see on a button from this field. So many years have passed. Let's use this patch, for example. You know why I'm here, uncle. Inputs, okay, top and bottom. These wires, they do nothing. Unlike some other dialog plugins, they just show connections between nodes, but everything happens in nodes. Again, as this is our NPC, this short text, we don't see it anywhere except this editor, but it's still useful to see what he's gonna tell. Again, we only have one option here, so we want to use. There is no reason to make player press just one button. Of course, you can use button, but I'll keep it as autoplay. And just reminder, of course, we also have to implement all this behavior of buttons and autoplay. Another important part, we have this checkbox autoplay next line. This actually only works for the same character. So if one character should speak two notes one by one automatically, we have to check this option. So from this, oops, my bad, we don't need it here because this is gonna be spoken by Uncle John. I'm sorry. But the point is, so from this node to the same character, we have to set this checkbox. Now we have 3 answers from Sinora. And here is what I was talking about. We must set this checkbox autoplay next line. Just again. Order doesn't matter also. So it's well, but it's not beautiful. Oh, we forgot to set up our buttons. Here is autoplay. Let's say top, bottom, right, left, right, left, right, autoplay. By the way, for example, if you have here, if you use, for example, list item, you may use this any of these fields to provide number of line 1, line 2, line 3, or use named lines and so on. Okay, I know this isn't correct English, right? Here we'll start our interactive cutscene. This will be autoplayed. I can force you. Yes. We will fill tree here now and add actions and conditions later. It's quite linear actually. Here we will use a button to continue dialogue. It's not necessary actually in this exact example, but I want to show you how to use inputs in interactive cutscene. And at the end we will see how to use a branch, depending on gameplay condition. And condition. Okay, so dialog tree is ready. Let's add comments. And that's how our small dialogue tree looks. Before we play it, we have to create some trigger to start dialogue, and this trigger is gonna be an important actor to contain some data about cameras, for example, because we want to use procedural cameras and so on, not just cameras, but also references, because from our dialogue we want to have access to some objects from the level. Let's add actor blueprint. And for example, box collision. Three images should be enough. And of course, some settings. I think it's obvious, right? Okay, then actually don't use this prefix. I use it, but you shouldn't. We can select on level who is gonna talk, but we can't select player. So we're gonna add player automatically. Increase box size and set in our setup start on overlap. Here we want to have our Uncle John. Who takes part in our conversation? This Uncle John and player, because player is spawned on a level. Okay, what else? Oh, of course. Actor references. Name and this is gonna be a map. Actually, our dialogue. Let me show you. Here, let's add one more event. Let's call it set. Oh, okay, set transform and start position. Dialog references. Start position. Blueprint. This actor it do nothing. It's just it keeps location and rotation. Tadam! Oops. No, 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 no. Before we continue, let's open a base character and add a variable. Here let's find our event, custom event. We need to manually cast it as dialog action because this is byte, just byte. I just want to show you the idea. So that's how we are gonna implement all our dialog custom events in our dialog. So to play dialogue, we need dialogue itself, exposed and set up start key. Let's do the same. Let's set default value start. Delay, we could also promote it, but why? And set this checkbox. Of course, we have to initialize this variable. Let's set the function. Look, here we have references on dialog components, and here are our characters, so we need to iterate through these characters to find these references. Set active dialog. I mean, this variable we created. So in this function we initialize this array. We need one more function, init cameras. But not gonna yet implement it. So now it should work, except we don't have interface yet. Okay. Yes, because we call it from animation blueprint. Open our character. I mean, everything worked as expected now, but I just noticed we have to turn off inputs in our dialogue. So what happens here? First node of dialogue is executed, our set transform action is executed, and then we can't go to the next node because condition fails. Dialogue is interrupted and we can move again. So everything here works just as expected. Our movement is paused for 0.5 seconds because right, and then we can move again. We launch our dialog from this trigger, and now we have to add interface with buttons.